you say you needed to watch what you eat? You're supposed to be cutting down on fried foods, not wolfing down copious quantities of fish and chips, you know?
Come on. It's not every day we get to dine at Spina di Rosula's expense. Can you believe how generous she is? I'm not about to pass on free food. Anyway, my character doesn't need to be slim and good-looking. That's your job.
Are you kidding me right now? It's not your character's health I'm worried about, it's yours. I've spent my whole life battling the effects of ill health, and it kills me to watch you willingly ruin yours by filling yourself up with junk all the time.
Oh no, looks like they're arguing again. We're back! Could you maybe put your differences aside for a moment?
You're back. We've been enjoying Spina di Rosula's VIP treatment in your stead. Paulo's nearly done. We shouldn't have to wait too much longer.
Great! So you were discussing your characters, right? We heard she's playing the Oceanid who turns into a human girl. What about you?
Me? I'm an Oceanid too.
He was originally supposed to take the form of a crane, but he outgrew that role. Well, the costume at least. So now he's playing the boar instead.
Sorry.
The boar's not a bad character, actually. He's the one who raises the little Oceanid, yes?
That's right. He has some pretty memorable lines too, like when he imparts some solemn words of wisdom to the little Oceanid. If you become human, you can reveal your secret to no one. You will face suffering and loneliness. Is this truly what you want?
Wait, that sounds kind of familiar.
It's the most important line in the whole script. I think it's a symbolic statement about our director's life and legacy. She kept quiet about all the trials and tribulations she faced in running our troupe, allowing us to devote ourselves fully to performing. It was only after she was gone that we realized how tough her job really was.
You mentioned earlier that the troupe is like your home.
Yeah. I was born with an incurable illness, and once my family found out it couldn't be treated, they decided they didn't want me anymore. I spent some years taking whatever work I could find and trying to manage my illness with various medicines. But whenever I had a bad flare-up, I'd be lying in an alleyway for days at a time. It was like that until the director found me one day. She told me I had a great voice and asked if I was interested in studying singing from her. I said yes. She took me under her wing, taught me to both sing and act, helped me find Mora for my meds, took care of me when my condition decided to flare up. I know it was all a huge burden on her.
She sounds like a really incredible person.
She really was. She gave everything she had to her troupe and the people in it. All of us were so proud to call her our director. I was a lost child too when she found me. As the child of a murderer, my parents weren't around when I was little, so I got sent to an orphanage. The other kids were always picking fights with me. They'd say things like, "Come on, you must be pretty tough if you're the son of a murderer." It was just to taunt me, though. I was an easy target, and they knew it. One day, I got beaten up so bad that I just couldn't take it anymore, so I ran away. I lost all faith in humanity by that point. Thought the whole world was out to get me.
Let me guess. Fortunately, the next person you ran into was the director.
Yeah, for the first time in my life, I was somewhere I felt safe. And I promised myself I'd stay here until the day the group parted ways.
The day you hoped would never come. How times change.
Oh, you're finally done? Get your butt over here. There's someone I need to introduce you to. This is our new artistic consultant, Miss Farina.
Farina? The Farina? Oh my god, how did you manage to wrangle that?
Please, the honor is all mine. I was profoundly moved to hear about your troupe and your wonderful director. I just wanted to do something to help.
Same here.
Even so, this is just... Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I'll try to calm down. Now, where was I? Ah, yes, the script, of course. Let me give you a rundown of how the story unfolds in my version of the script. I'm sure you're already familiar with the beginning of the story. A little Oceanid decides she wants to become a human against the wishes of her family. She finds love and friendship in the bustling city. But then, disaster strikes. The people start to notice that all the fresh water in the surrounding area is slowly disappearing. The soil is becoming arid, plants and flowers are withering, and the people begin to panic. The little Oceanid, Cleo, and her lover decide to do something about it and investigate the truth of the matter together. In the end, they discover that all the waste and pollution created by humans over the years has caused the fresh water to flee the land, as if driven by a consciousness of its own.
Consciousness? You mean the water is sentient?
Water as a conscious entity. There's actually quite a few stories that explore this theme.
Since the little Oceanid is a water spirit, she immediately understands how the water is feeling. She then tells her lover about her true identity, as well as the truth behind the crisis. Her lover accepts her for who she is, and works with her to find a way to bring the water back. However, unbeknownst to them, there were some people eavesdropping when she revealed her secret. The little Oceanid is accused of being directly responsible for driving the water away, and faces the greatest dilemma of her life.
And then?
In the end, she makes the brave decision to sacrifice herself to save her lover, and the rest of humanity.
Huh? But didn't they all treat Cleo like a villain? Why would she want to save them after that?
Well, she mainly wanted to save her lover, plus everyone who'd stood up for her.
Through her love for her human partner, she was able to find an even greater love, one that extended to all of humanity. Surely the biggest strength of Cleo's character.
There's actually something else that bothers me. You know the protagonist is supposed to represent the director, right? And she never had the chance to become a hero in our world. If we're serious about dedicating this show to her memory, we should make the ending as true to life as possible. What about if the little Oceanid is hounded to death by people who hate her, her lover makes sure her secret never gets out, and humanity continues down the path to extinction?
That sounds like too cruel of an ending to me, and perhaps a little irresponsible to present to the audience.
That ending would be a perfect mirror to Director Aureli's death, both arbitrary and meaningless. On the day when she went missing, Director Aureli had instructed us all, somewhat out of the blue, to leave the court of Fontaine and wait for her outside the city. We waited and waited at the rendezvous point, but she never came. By the time we returned to the city, she disappeared without a trace. We looked for her. The Gardamex looked for her, but she was nowhere to be found. Increasingly, all the signs seemed to point to her being the latest victim in the serial disappearances case.
The director was the kindest soul in the world, yet she was senselessly sacrificed for the sake of a so-called experiment by someone who had nothing to do with her at all.
But doesn't the way she suddenly told you to leave the city suggest that maybe she had some sense of what was about to happen? It almost seems as if she was moving you to safety.
I've been trying to follow up on that ever since, but all my efforts so far have turned up nothing. Villemont might know something, but he won't open up to me.
Villemont? The one who's playing the role of the villain?
Yeah. He's been overwhelmed by grief. I think the director's death hit him hardest of all.
Grief? Guilt, more like. Also, I have a hard time imagining that anyone took it harder than me. Because Well, speaking of the play being true to life, I was deeply, madly in love with O'Reilly.
What? You kept that one quiet.
It's time to be upfront with you all. No more keeping secrets from each other. We'll never be able to agree on the ending if we can't be honest about how we feel. I did tell her how I felt once, but she turned me down pretty much straight away. She said that we were all like brothers and sisters to her, and she'd never considered us as potential romantic partners. Not that it came as a shock or anything. It was what I was expecting to hear. So I told her I'd always be there for the troupe, and I'd always be there for her. I said, maybe one day in the future, when everyone's settled into their own lives and on the up and up, and managing the troupe no longer required her constant attention, well, maybe then she could reconsider what she really wanted in her life. And now, that day will never come.
Paulo.
So if I'm the one writing this ending, then I'm gonna make sure it does right by O'Reilly. I won't let anyone get in the way of that.
In that case, you have to straighten things out with Vilmont once and for all, face to face. We've all had our differences of opinion over the ending, but those two have never seen eye to eye on anything. One of them has to compromise if we're ever going to reach a final decision.
Well, if that's where we're at, looks like it's time to go visit Vilmont.
Are you ready to face the truth?
Honestly, I'm slightly terrified. But for the sake of our final performance, I'll do whatever it takes. Funny you should ask, though. You really do get what I'm going through right now.
I certainly do. Come on, everyone. Allons-y!
I wonder when I'll be as tall as my big sister. Go, Barbara, go!
This is tough going. Delphi, are you sure you can manage in your condition?
I could ask you the same question. Try to keep up.
Ugh, as if this journey wasn't tough enough already without a roadblock.
Don't worry. We should all be fine with the Traveler here. We don't need to take a detour. Wait, why are you all looking at me? You're not seriously expecting me to fight, are you?
We're just curious, that's all. I don't think anyone's ever seen Farina in a fight before.
Yeah, but don't you remember why? The Hydro Archon willingly gave up all her power so it could be converted into Indemnitium. Miss Farina said so herself.
Precisely! And I'm not even the Hydro Archon anymore, so all my power is gone anyway. As much as it pains me, unfortunately, I should just stay put. I'm more like a damsel in distress more than anything.
That sounded so smug. Ugh, secondhand embarrassment is unbearable.
C'est la vie indeed. Alas, I am forced to watch on helplessly as a more brave and seasoned adventurer than I swoops in to save the day.
Aw, too bad. I was so pumped to feast my eyes on fight mode for Rena.
Sorry to leave all the heavy lifting to you.
Don't worry, piece of cake.
Come a little closer.
Nice and spicy.
You're in for a little shock. You're in for a little shock. Come a little closer. You're in for a little
At the frying pan.
Come a little. You're in for a little shock. Come a little closer.
Nice and spicy.
You're in for a little shock. Come a little closer.
At the frying pan.
Come a little closer. You're in for a little shock. You're in for a little shock.
Nice and spicy.
Come a little closer. You're in for a little shock. Come a little closer.
Bravo! Good show! You certainly live up to your reputation.
Yeah, thank you. Anyway, the path is cleared now, so onwards and upwards.
Vilma, are you there?
Huh? Oh, it's you guys. Wait, what's Lady Farina doing here?
I can explain. We've been rounding up the whole troop. We now have everyone except you.
So, you think knowing the truth about the director's disappearance will help you write an ending to the script that pleases everyone? I care just as much as everyone else about making the Little Oceanid a success. That's why I wanted to wait until after the show. If I open this can of worms now, I just don't want to make things difficult between us. We're supposed to be a unit when we're on stage. Vilma, avoiding the truth will not help anyone. Unless you mean to suggest that Aurelie's death had something to do with you. I don't want to talk about it. Listen, Vilma. I used to think that my love for Aurelie was a point of shame. I never brought it up to anyone. But now, I've made up my mind to put it all on the table. I'm prepared to face everything, to sacrifice everything for the sake of the show. The Little Oceanid cannot be complete unless we do justice to Aurelie on an emotional level. This is why people think of you as not being the smart one. As you all know already, the troupe was kept afloat not from ticket sales, but donations from the audience. Of course, that was nowhere near enough. We took on side jobs when we weren't performing, but even then, the troupe's financial situation was pretty dire. So, anyway, one day after a show, a merchant came to me and offered us a huge sponsorship. In return, we just had to provide the audience with their drinks during performances. It seemed like a win-win, so I said yes to it on the spot without consulting the director. It was only when the merchant came to deliver the goods that I realized the drink in question was synth.
Isn't that the drink peddled by the culprit behind the serial disappearances case?
I freaked out when I saw the boxes. And I told the director everything right away. She was completely shocked as well.
But she didn't reprimand me for making the decision without consulting her. Instead, she contacted the merchant and stated that the troupe could not agree to this collaboration. The merchant was furious, berated us for going back on our word, and threatened to sue us for damages. The amount was astronomical. There was no way we'd be able to pay.
And then?
I was going to sort it on my own, but the director stopped me. She said that this was an issue for the whole troupe and it wasn't my fault. But things only got worse from there. The synth merchant just wouldn't let up, and then suddenly the director told us all to leave the city one day. I knew then that things must have reached a boiling point. I admit this whole thing was my mistake. I didn't dare to tell any of you the truth back then, and after the director disappeared, I was even more afraid to say anything. Yeah, I got Aurelie killed. There, I said it. Happy now?
Hey, don't say that.
You traitor! You knew Aurelie was in danger. Why in God's name didn't you tell us? What do you mean, you were afraid? This was a life and death situation. We could have saved her! How could you be so stupid?
Please, try not to get too worked up.
Yeah, listen to him. You need to stay calm.
Stay calm? How can I stay calm? This guy got Aurelie murdered. She was the love of my life. And he has the gall to try and high-road us, claiming that he kept his mouth shut for the sake of the show. How about taking some responsibility for what he's done?
All I can say is I'm sorry. Truly. I wanted to apologize to everyone in the troupe, but that won't bring back the director. What good is my apology now? I'm just a coward who made an awful, terrible mistake that I can never take back. Beat me up if you want. Kill me if you prefer. It's what I deserve. End my life. So I can meet the director and apologize to her in person.
Get out of my sight. Go, get lost. I don't ever want to see your face again.
That's enough! You've screamed and shouted at each other for long enough. Now pipe down, both of you! Can you stop conflating the show on stage with your real-life relationships in the troupe? You keep saying that you want to use this final performance to pay tribute to your director and celebrate her life. How can you do that if you're just using it as an excuse to vent your own emotions?
You're right.
I'm sorry.
On stage, the lead role is the focal point of the audience's attention. And you're all used to seeing the director as the heart of the troupe. But in her own life, her greatest desire wasn't to be the center of attention. I can tell how much she loved you all, and how much she loved the troupe. What she wanted was to build a warm home for all of her brothers and sisters, to shield you all from the storms that rage in the world outside. That's how you should remember her, and that's what you should be celebrating. I understand why you're trying to make her the hero of the story, but isn't she your hero already? After everything she did for you?
Yeah.
So think hard about what that means. And then think again about what you hope to achieve by arguing with each other. If you really hate each other and can't reconcile your differences, then you could just call it quits now. Why bother with the final performance if the group is already fractured? But you can't bring yourself to do that, can you? You care too much about Director Aurelie and the home she built you all to let go. What are you laughing at? I don't see what's so funny.
Sorry, I didn't mean it that way. It's just that, for a moment there, it felt like our director was back with us again. If she'd seen Paulo and Vilmont at each other's throats like that, she would have scolded them exactly like you did, in that same stern voice.
Really? But she sounded like such a gentle person.
Of course she was. Even her harshest lectures came from a place of kindness, and it showed. She really was a truly outstanding person.
What you said, it really puts everything into perspective.
I'm truly sorry. I really meant for this to be a genuine apology, but I ended up making it all about me and my self-pity.
It's all right. Let's save all this for after the performance.
So, the ending. What are we gonna do about it?
Clearly, everyone needs to take a step back for now and reflect on what really matters. When emotions are running high, things get lost in the fray. The end of the story needs to focus back on Aurelie herself. She's the true star of the show.
What do you mean?
The Traveler is right. You once investigated that underwater synth base and recovered items belonging to the victims. If you could find anything that Aurelie left behind, perhaps we can get a better sense of what she went through in her final days.
You really think that's possible?
I trust that nobody would object to the ending of the story being based on Aurelie's true feelings.
No.
Well, we'll leave this in your capable hands.
Come, let's pay a visit to the Palais Mermonia. The rest of you, head back to the rehearsal location for now, and wait for our good news.
You want to review some recovered items connected to victims of the serial disappearances case? But, that case has been closed for quite a while now. Still, since you were the ones who discovered and submitted the evidence in the first place, you don't actually have to submit an application. Okay, please hold on. I'll have someone dig them out.
So, this is all Aurelie left behind. Just whatever she was carrying on her person and this tattered old notebook.
Hey! It's full of script lines! And sketches too! Looks like they show where the different props should be placed on stage.
Let me take a look. Maybe there's something in here from after she was kidnapped. Aha! I found something. To whoever discovers this diary. Let's see. Looks like she kept a detailed record of her captor's actions. She even mentions the truth behind the experiments on dissolving young women. If we'd had the chance to examine this notebook carefully back then, it would have been a conclusive piece of evidence proving Vacher's guilt.
Vacher took so many lives. It's still so unthinkable how many victims he had.
I guess Aurelie must have written all of this down in the hope that her records would one day be of use to investigators. Wait, it cuts off. Her handwriting here gets patchier and more illegible by the line. She probably didn't have much strength left. Her final words are... I'll let you read them for yourselves.
She was so terrified.
She may have been a mighty hero in the eyes of her troop, but at the end of the day, she was only human. I can't bear to think how painful and lonely her final days must have been. Wait. This part on the last page sounds strangely familiar. If you become human, you can reveal your secret to no one. You will face suffering and loneliness. Is this still what you want?
Isn't that the most important line in the Little Oceanid?
Because I am an older sister to them.
Oh.
So she didn't regret her decision, even as she sat in silence, waiting for death to come. I'm sure this is what the troop would have hoped to hear as well. She had their utmost trust, admiration, and love, and she truly deserved it. Let's go. It's time for them to learn Director O'Reilly's final thoughts.
But that's just standard procedure.
She deserves a hero's farewell. If that's the only way to convey to the audience the courage and selflessness that she showed in the face of death, then it's a meaningful way to end the story.
Even in the last moments of her life, she was still leaving a trail for others to follow.
She did her best to protect as many people as possible, even if it meant sacrificing herself. We know what choice our little Oceanid would have made now. I don't think any more discussion is necessary. Well, Vilmont, if we put the past aside for now, do you think you can bring yourself to go ahead with the show?
I will channel all my regret and put it into my performance to make this a show worthy of our director. I won't ask for your forgiveness, and you don't need to worry about my feelings. This final farewell show should be about Director O'Reilly and her alone.
Then it seems like we've reached a consensus. I have a feeling that this will turn out to be the most mesmerizing performance of your lives.
Really? How can you be so sure when you've never even seen them perform before?
Don't underestimate my experience. After watching a countless number of musicals, I've learned one important thing. If you want to move the audience with your music, you must fully commit and immerse yourself in your role, pouring all your emotion into your performance. And aren't human emotions, love, hate, regret, and hope, just the most mesmerizing things in this world? I don't believe anybody could be more committed to bringing this story to life on the stage than they are now.
Thank you for the vote of confidence, Miss Farina. And thank you for supporting us through all this.
Then, let's not delay things any longer. We need to discuss the details of the ending and get it nailed down once and for all.
Actually, before that, I'd like to make a proposal. During the curtain call, please allow me to use the director's name instead of my own.
Huh? But then...
After all, this role was originally meant to be played by the director. I'm just filling in for her. Besides, a role commemorating her life should be associated with her name.
Well, if you're sure you're okay with that, I have no objection to it.
Now we're talking like a serious acting troupe. All right, I'll leave you to fine-tune your musical while I go and procure a stage.
Procure a stage?
Oh, it's okay. Our usual place doesn't need a reservation.
That place? Oh, don't be silly. For an extraordinary show, we need an extraordinary stage. By which I, of course, mean the Opera Epiclese.
Whoa, wait, what?
No. That's never going to work. It's far too fancy for the likes of us.
What are you afraid of? Surely you don't think that Aurelie's story is unworthy of the grandest stage in Fontaine.
No, that's not what I meant.
It is supposed to be your grand finale, right?
I have no problem with it then. How about the rest of you? I'll take your silence as a yes. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. It really is a dream come true.
Well, then don't disappoint me. If you mess this up, it'll reflect poorly on me too. Come on, we'll need to get the go-ahead from Nervilette. I know just where to find him. Look at that! Looks like I guessed right.
You were just guessing?
I knew you'd be here.
I'm here merely for a short break. It has been a while, Miss Farina. And you too, Traveler in Paimon. What might I assist you with today?
I would like to book the Opera Epiclese for an event. You see...
I understand. The process for booking the Opera Epiclese is complex and can be somewhat cumbersome. But given that the request is coming from the three of you, I see no reason to make things unduly difficult. The story of the little Oceanid is most fascinating. I'm looking forward to seeing it performed on stage. I will say, however, that I am surprised to see your passion for the performing arts rekindled after all that has happened.
Huh? What do you mean? Do I look excited?
Yes, and this is the first time that I've seen you like this since your departure from deityhood.
At first, I just felt bad about rejecting them, so I wanted to learn a little bit more about their situation. But one thing led to another, and... well, here we are. In the past, we sat in our high chairs in the court, giving our opinions on isolated cases, all while knowing very little about the human stories behind each and every one. Maybe it's because I finally become an ordinary person and gained my freedom, but I've developed a great sense of curiosity about their lives.
I am truly delighted to see you find a new lease on life. Now that you've regained some confidence, have you had any thoughts regarding a return to the stage?
Why would you suddenly ask a question like that?
Well, if the Little Oceanid turns out to be a great success, it will no doubt become a classic. Many theater companies are certain to add it to their repertoire. The experiences and decisions of the protagonist Cleo are all modeled after your own. Naturally, this makes you eminently suited to playing the leading role. It would truly be a shame if you did not take this opportunity to allow audiences to enjoy your outstanding acting talents once more.
Haven't I already made myself clear? I won't act or perform in any role ever again. No exceptions. Nor do I think it is any great shame. There is no lack of fine actors or inspirational stories, either on or off the stage. This experience is a case in point. I feel like I've learned a lot, and it has already been well worth the price of admission. I must admit, though, I'm a little envious. They're quite fortunate to be able to bid farewell to their past in such a magnificent manner.
I see. Well, I'm glad to learn that you have found a role to play that you enjoy, be it on the stage or not. I sincerely hope the show will serve as the grandest of finales. I will have my staff book the date and mail the relevant paperwork to the troupe once the details are confirmed.
Thanks, Nervalect.
You are very welcome.
Good news, everyone! It's done. The Opera Epiclese is booked. Thanks to my eloquent and impassioned speech, Monsieur Neuvillette was moved to provide us with a fitting stage for this special performance. We've had to fight every step of the way for this opportunity, but we now have all of the ingredients necessary to stage a truly spectacular performance. A touching story, a magnificent venue, and last but not least, a passionate and dedicated cast. Now, let's work together and make this show the best it can be.
This is truly wonderful.
The sooner we can finalize the ending, the more time we'll have to rehearse. Fiumali and I just went over some parts of the script and tweaked a few things. I think it's really going to resonate with the audience now.
Wow, you two had a constructive conversation? That's great!
Communication is vital to any good performance.
Look at us. We've come so far. I never could have pictured this scene a few days ago.
It's amazing! Even though Farina's still being a bit of a drama queen about it all, she's really fired everyone up!
Please feel free to give us any comments or suggestions you have. We really value your input.
Hey, Loic, get over here. Time to practice the opening number.
accursed Cleo. She stole the waters of life from us. She's a fraud, and she must pay for her crimes.
This has nothing to do with her. The ignorance and hatred of our people is to blame. How can we hope to win back the water's favor if we don't change our ways?
This guy could be useful. Take him hostage. If Cleo wants him back, she'll have to show herself.
Leave this place, oh little Oceanid, and never, ever look back!
Everyone's really throwing themselves into their roles. I haven't seen such a fine performance in a long time. If only...
What should we do? It's almost time for her to take the stage!
Why does it have to be now?
Hey, what's going on? You're due on stage any second now. Oh no, not again. But why? What about your new meds? Did they stop working?
They've been getting less and less effective over time. I've had to keep increasing my dose.
What? I thought they cure it. So they were only managing your symptoms?
I figured whatever it took to get me through this final performance.
How could you do this to yourself? And after that lecture you gave me about not looking after my health.
I'm sorry. I've let everyone down.
You... This is a conversation for another time. How can the show go on without its star performer?
Miss Farina, I'd like to make a request of you.
Say no more. If you're sick, you need to rest. I know what you're going to ask. Loic, your character has no more scenes, correct?
Oh, yeah. I think my scenes are all done. Although, I do have one more line. But I guess another guy in the troupe with a similar voice register could take it. Why?
Please take Delphi back to her place to rest. I'll sing the finale. From the sublime to the ridiculous. After all that, everything's come full circle.
Thank you, Miss Farina. I'm so sorry to put you in this position after everything you said.
Never mind. What's done is done. It's really my own fault for getting in too deep. No one likes regrets, myself included. Leave it to me. I've watched you rehearse so many times that I've learned Cleo's parts by heart.
I do not doubt your acting skills, but please allow me to ask just one more question. After all, this show is dedicated to the life and legacy of our director. What, in your opinion, is the reason Cleo shines so brightly?
It's her pure heart. Despite all the pain and loneliness she had to endure, she never once stopped believing in the beauty in this world.
Well said. I leave Director O'Reilly in your hands.
Is she here yet?
Let's she get here!
She's not coming!
You're wrong. She's here.
Si je pouvais vivre dans l'eau, le monde serait-il plus beau? Me pardonneras-tu
your wish?
My wish.
If you become human, you can reveal your secret to no one. You will face suffering and loneliness. Is this truly what you want?
Le grand amour ne suffit pas, seul un adieu fleurira. C'est notre histoire de vie, douce et amère. Moi, je suis seule et toujours là, à voir le monde et sa beauté. Et ça ne changera jamais, jamais.
Is it just me? Or was that Lady Farina on the stage just now?
She hasn't been seen for a while now, and she just appears out of nowhere? Gotta say, though, her acting skills are as superb as ever.
The little Oceanid, Cleo, played by Aurélie Fumont.
Wait, that's not her name. What's going on?
I don't know, maybe it's just a doppelganger.
I've spent a lot of time out of the spotlight, and they didn't use my name during the curtain call either. Hopefully, not too many people recognized me. It's too bad that I had to break the one clear rule I'd managed to make for myself, even if I had no choice. Still, I have to admit that, despite everything, it felt good to be back on the stage again.
Finally, we would like to give a special thanks to our artistic consultant and event coordinator, Miss Farina.
Hey, that's not what we agreed on!
Oh, so it was Farina after all.
She's back!
Honestly, what is he doing? He should have run that by me first.
All right, calm down, don't be mad. This was a group decision. We just didn't want your contributions to go unacknowledged. After all, it's been the rule in Fontaine since ancient times that everyone's work, visible or invisible, is equally deserving of recognition.
Yes, I know the rule, but it should still be applied on a case-by-case basis. I wasn't ready for this yet.
It's no big deal. What's the worst that could happen?
Oh, yeah? Well, since you think it's so easy, you can sign them for me.
This is a great chat and all, but can we talk about that crazy thing that happened during the show? It nearly gave Paimon a heart attack. Paimon flew over to where she was supposed to be and was about to drop the prop vision, and then suddenly, a real one popped out of thin air!
Oh, that. I've got no idea what happened there either. But hey, it worked pretty well, didn't it? I'll bet the audience has never seen such a realistic prop.
Wait, what about Dolphy? I wonder how she's doing.
Oh, let's go check on her as soon as we finish clearing the stage.
Yes. Plus, she'll definitely want to hear how the end of the show went. If nothing else, we can safely say that we accomplished what we set out to do.
Ah, you're back. She's doing okay. Her condition stabilized after taking some of her original medication. From experience, though, I'd say she still needs a few more days of rest.
How did the performance go? Was it a success? Did the audience like it?
You'll be glad to know it was fantastic! Also, you're not gonna believe what happened while Farina was on the stage. You'll probably be able to read all about it in the Steambird first thing tomorrow morning.
That's wonderful. I'm so sorry I failed to see it through to the end. I guess I was wrong to try and tough it out to begin with.
No, don't worry about it. Like they told me after announcing my name during the curtain call, everyone's work deserves recognition. Even though you couldn't see it through to the final scene, the audience was very impressed by your performance. It's safe to say that you made your mark on this memorial show.
Well, one way or another, we did it. I've had bad luck ever since I was born, so I never expect things to go smoothly in life. I'm just happy to know that we went out on a high note. That's all that matters.
Blaming your bad luck again, are we? Maybe if you didn't push yourself past your limits so much, your illness wouldn't be flaring up all the time.
Oh, don't you start. I don't have the energy to argue with you right now.
Aw, you two clearly care a lot about each other.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You mean we never stop arguing with each other?
So, any plans for the next step? After the brilliant performance you put on, the reputation of your troupe is sure to spread through Fontaine like wildfire. You won't have to disband if you don't want to. You could capitalize on the rave reviews and license out the little Oceanid to the bigger theater troupes out there. That would do wonders for your financial situation.
No, we should still disband.
Yeah, it's what we all agreed to.
After all that's happened, I should give you guys some space. But maybe our paths will cross again one day.
Hey, don't just walk off!
I still want to keep performing, so I might join another troupe. After watching Miss Farina's performance, I think I'm starting to understand our director's infatuation with musicals.
You should do it. It suits you. I'd originally hoped to keep performing too, but I don't know if my health will allow me to.
Oh, so now you finally got your priorities in order. I guess I'll hold off until you've properly recovered as well. What about you, Miss Farina? Any future plans?
Well, frankly, I think a return to obscurity is no longer an option for me. I'm sure a slew of consultancy requests will hound me wherever I go, until I finally acquiesce. You rather sealed my fate there with your special thanks at the end of the show.
Sorry.
It's quite all right. No need to apologize. What I meant to say is that this whole experience has shown me that perhaps I'm not as averse to a return to the stage as I previously imagined. Maybe Nervilette was right. Maybe Cleo is the right role for me. I still don't wish to pretend to be someone else, but I do have a desire to express myself. So, maybe the show will go on for me after all. Yeah. There was once a time when I was an actress in a masquerade, seeking only to hide the truth. But from now on, I want to spend my time learning real stories about real people and how they touch the lives of others around them. I want to watch them blossom and wither, see them refined on the page, retold on the stage, and remembered long into the future. I'm sure this is what captivated Director O'Reilly as well.
Sounds like you're ready to stop running from your true calling. The more you get out into the world, the more you'll discover what a fascinating place it is.
Then it's a deal. If a vision is a gift from the gods, then I should do my best to honor it.
That can't be right. Oh, but what if they're real after all? No, that can't be. But what if there's a chance?
Greetings, miss. Is there something that's bothering you?
Oh, no, it's nothing. I'm Della Roche, the representative of the Fontaine Fishing Association. How can I help you? Oh, so you're adventurers. Oh, finally, someone has heard my prayers.
Paimon could tell you were really bothered by something. Don't worry, you've got 2 super experienced adventurers right here. We'll take care of anything and everything for you as long as you pay us a little bit of mora.
Oh, you are exactly the helpers I need. See, the problem is that the fish around a fishing spot at Araneus have just all up and vanished recently. They disappeared too quickly for it to have been the work of human anglers. As the representative of the Fishing Association, I had planned to go and investigate the area right away. Right, but unfortunately, as the representative of the Fishing Association, there are a few other errands that I absolutely have to run. So
you'd like us to investigate the spot for you?
exactly, you're right on the Mora. So I thought I could delegate this work to you. Are you two some kind of prophets, knowing exactly what I was going to say like that? Or maybe like the oracles you read about in fairy tales.
Yeah, we're just really experienced in this kind of thing, that's all.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'll get a good night's sleep knowing the two of you are on the case.
But don't we just need to investigate the missing fish? It really doesn't sound too difficult.
No, you mustn't let your guard down. As the representative of the Fishing Association, I have good reason to believe that the fish have gone missing due to an encounter with the water imps. Yes, you're both Outlanders, right? Our local fairy tales often speak of a terrifying underwater creature called Velxi. The story our parents would tell us was always the same. If we went to the water alone, then we'd be snatched away and eaten by a water imp called Velxi.
A child eating water imp? Did they tell you what it looked like?
My father would always describe it as a beautiful, multicolored snake woman, while my mother said it had a handsome face. It's really strange, though, because you'd also hear other people describe it as just a chubby penguin with a deceptive appearance. Even though the tales vary regarding its appearance, everyone agrees that it's really dangerous. It lives in an underwater cave surrounded by pallid bones and uses its sensitive nose to track down lonely children who've lost their way. And once it finds a child, it uses its alluring singing voice to lure them into the water before swallowing them all. Pretty terrifying, isn't it?
Sounds kinda scary. But isn't that pretty normal for a fairy tale? After all, those kinds of stories are usually made up to help keep children away from danger.
But what if the fairy tale was inspired by a real-life tale? Just like how a water vein always has a source. Well, I wouldn't call it evidence per se, but I've heard some rumors lately. They say that someone recently saw a child walk into the water as if he was possessed by something. Doesn't that sound just like he was responding to the call of a water imp?
So you mean someone really got eaten by a water imp?
It's all hearsay, so it's hard to confirm. But still, they all say this happened on Irenaeus. That's no laughing matter if you ask me. Both the Opera House and the Fountain of Lucine were built there, and the sources of many water veins can be traced to the island as well. Combine that with the mysterious mist, the huge tree with expansive underground roots, and the rumor that the fish chefs on the island can understand human language. Is it really so shocking that an island so shrouded in mystery could harbor a terrifying water imp as well?
Why does Paimon feel like you're pulling our leg? You're just piling on the rumors now. Still, if someone's really been hurt, then we can't just ignore the situation, right, Traveler?
Oh, marvelous. Then I'll just mark the stretch of water on your map. Don't forget that no matter what, safety always comes first.
You're in for a little shock.
you two!
Is this the stretch of water Delaroche was talking about? It looks really peaceful. Huh? Look, there are some footprints over there. These look pretty fresh. Did the water imp get someone again? Let's look around and see if we can find anything else. Wait! Did you hear something just now? What is that? Don't come any closer!
Paimon? Traveler? I'm sorry. I forgot I was still wearing this.
Fremine!
Paimon, are you okay?
Paimon nearly mistook you for a water imp. Thank goodness it was just you wearing your helmet.
Huh? A water imp? Thelxie, you say? How surprising.
Huh? You know that name too? Or do you know someone else is trying to investigate the water imp?
No, I think our situations are probably unrelated. Sure, if that's in order. I know the name because of one of my employers. She noticed the clockwork penguins I brought to the workshop and contacted me through the shop's owner. She has commissioned me to make a special toy. Following her request, I've named the toy Thelxie.
Huh? But isn't it a little creepy to name a toy after a water imp? Wait, hold on! Fremine, you never take commissions from other people!
Yeah, but, she made a special request, but out of respect for her privacy, I can't really talk about it. It's alright though. She'll be coming over to check on my progress shortly, and I'll just tell her that you're two of my trustworthy companions. Hearing that, she might be willing to share some information, and you'll be able to continue with your investigation.
Huh. Even though you seem a little cold and reserved sometimes, you're still really considerate. Our target isn't necessarily the water imp, though. We're primarily here to investigate the disappearance of the fish.
The fish? I think I may have connected the dots. These past few weeks, I've been taking Thelxie for underwater testing every day. The pressure testing makes a lot of noise. So, all that about the disappearing fish? Well, it was probably because of me.
So that's how it was? That actually makes a lot of sense. Wait, so could that mean the child we heard about who walked into the water was also...
Yes, I think that's quite likely as well.
Whew. So in the end, it was just Fremine. Paimon spent all this time imagining what a water imp from the fairy tales might look like, and it all turns out to be just a hoax.
I'm sorry. It sounds like I've created a lot of trouble for everyone else as well. I'll try to finish this commission as soon as possible. Once I'm done, the fish should come back. Thank you.
Actually, how much work do you still have left, Fremine? Maybe we could lend you a hand.
Thanks for offering, but I can't trouble you any more than I already have.
Hey, it's no trouble at all. Didn't you just call us your trustworthy companions? Companions are all about helping each other, you know?
But don't you need to report back to your commissioner?
Nope, that's not how it works. See, Paimon's got these commissioner types all figured out, even though we were just tasked with finding out why the fish had gone missing. If we tell them now that it was all just a misunderstanding, you can bet they'd just immediately hand us another commission to help them get the fish back. Exactly! So if we can help you finish up your work and get the fish back, that would save us an extra trip!
Is that what you'd like to do as well? Huh. All right, I'll trust your judgment. Please follow me. I've made a makeshift camp over there. I've stored Thelxie in the tent. He can respond to some simple verbal commands. You can try calling his name and see if he'll come over.
Whoa, sounds pretty advanced. Let Paimon give it a try. Hey, Thelxie, are you there? So that's Fremine's version of Thelxie. It's also penguin-shaped, just like Pear.
Yep. Had Thelxie lived in Penguin Town, he'd probably have become great friends with Pear. It's not really anywhere famous or important. Don't worry about it.
Hey, Thelxie, nice to meet you. Do you know how to say hello?
I wanted to install a language output module, but due to time constraints, I had to give up on the idea. As it stands, Thelxie can only output messages that were pre-written into its motherboard. I haven't given him the ability to convert those messages into discernible words, so he can't really talk to us just yet.
No need to get so technical. So basically, you want us to help you complete and install this language module, right?
No, there's no need. That wasn't one of my employer's requests. It was just something I wanted to try. I have two other things I'd like your help with. The first is to do some integration testing on Thelxie's motherboard, to make sure he will be able to function properly in most situations.
That doesn't sound thing.
The others shouldn't take too long either. You'll need to find Thelxie some colorful shells and coral, so I can craft a weapon for him.
A weapon? Will Thelxie have to fight?
Mm-hmm. Thelxie will need to be able to charge forward with a weapon in hand, like that brave prince of legend. It's a part of my employer's request.
What an imaginative employer! Naming Thelxie after a water imp, but wanting him to look like a prince?
Well, regardless of his role or species, Thelxie's purpose is the same. Just like Pear, he has come to this world to serve as somebody's companion.
Whoa, Thelxie just said something again! Could he understand what we were just talking about?
He can react to certain key words, but unfortunately, due to the lack of a translation module, he still can't quite communicate with us.
That's a pity. But anyway, the most important thing right now is for us to get to work. Maybe let's start by doing some testing on the motherboard. That sounds like something we can do here in the camp.
Sounds good. The motherboard is on my workbench, so please follow me. Ah, here we go. I have this testing manual, so feel free to reference it if you get stuck. Want to give it a try? It's okay if you don't succeed immediately. I've got a lot of backup boards just in case. Okay, knowing you, I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out. You're doing well. Just as I expected.
We've taken on a lot of similar tasks before, you know.
Then let's move on to the underwater part. It's just as I mentioned earlier. We're after colorful shells and coral. Oh, speaking of which, you're both already pretty used to Fontaine's underwater environment, right? Okay, that's good. Just let me know if you ever feel uncomfortable. I'll make sure to stay right by your side. should be right over there. We'll be able to find something that'll help us with our search. This is it. We call this thing an echoing conch. It can detect special reflection waves in the water to help us with all kinds of underwater exploration and excavation efforts. Here, try it. Did you notice any interesting places? The echoing conch should have detected some just now. Let's go check them out. Alright, these should be enough. Let's head back to camp. Thank you for staying out here with me all this time.
Ah, Fremine, you're back. I thought you might have been out diving.
I'm sorry, Madame d'Estray. I must have kept you waiting. I can report, though, that the construction of Thelxie is going quite smoothly.
There's no rush. I'm your employer, not your supervisor. And these two are...
Oh, they're two of my trustworthy companions. They're here to help me work on Thelxie.
Yes, I see. I suppose it's only natural for someone responsible like you to have some reliable friends.
It's really nice to meet you, Madame d'Estray. Are you Fremine's employer? Paimon is Paimon, and this is the Traveler.
Greetings, my new friends. Just call me Zuria. You are both so adorable. The sight of you reminds me of little fairies under a cottage roof.
Oh, do you really think so?
Of course. If my child had friends like you, then perhaps he wouldn't have become so obsessed with the tales of water imps. And I wouldn't have had to trouble Fremine here with this commission.
Obsessed with the tales of water imps?
Ah, so you don't know anything about my request yet? I would have thought Fremine had explained it to you already.
Well, Fremine told us that it was a private matter, so he didn't want to just share it willy-nilly.
I see. So Monsieur Fremine is even more discreet than I had thought. As you are assisting him with the project, I believe it'll be beneficial for you to learn more about its vision and history. But it would be quite impolite of me to simply pile all of my troubles on you without your permission. So, would you like to listen to my story?
Sure, you can tell us anything. You've already said nice things about us, so we'll try our best to help you get through your troubles.
Ah, what a lovely little fairy. Then let me think of a way to put my situation into words. I'm sure you're already familiar with the tale of the water imps, right? Simply put, parents came up with a story, painting water imps as scary abductors in an effort to convince their children to stay away from the water. My child is rather special, however. While most other children are terrified of Thelxie, He's infatuated with him.
Infatuated? With a water imp? What a brave soul.
Yes. He told me that he thought the water imp might have just been misunderstood. In his mind, instead of singing to abduct children, the water imp actually sang out of a longing for companionship. As a result, he often goes near the water in secret.
Huh. So he wanted to become friends with the water imp so it wouldn't be lonely any longer? What a unique way of thinking.
Thank you, little Paimon. He indeed has always stood out from the crowd. He was actually diagnosed with loneliness syndrome when he was only 8 years old. It's a type of mental disorder. Those affected by it often feel extremely lonely and lose interest in many mundane activities. The syndrome is probably what made him so determined to become friends with the water imp.
Oh no. Is it a very serious disorder?
If you were to become afflicted with the disorder, Paimon, you would only be able to say less than a fraction of the words you're saying to the traveler now.
No! Paimon won't accept that! We would have to find a doctor to help cure Paimon. Paimon has a 2,000-word quota for daily conversations with the traveler, and she won't settle for a single word less!
The family doctor has already begun to treat my son, but since the disorder is rare, there aren't many good regimens for treatment. He's also developed some new symptoms lately, such as uncontrollable delusions.
Huh? Uncontrollable what now?
Uncontrollable delusions. To put it simply, he can no longer differentiate between fantasy and reality, and spends all his time in his fantasy world.
Then what is he seeing in his fantasy world?
It's a dream that he often mentioned to me when he was younger. I've compiled what I could understand of his recent rambling. It goes a bit like this.
Amazing! Your son came up with all of this? He really crafted a lovely fairy tale world for Thelxie. It's like a beautiful dream.
But perhaps no beautiful dream can ever last long. You see, the story ended with a twist.
son to develop his loneliness syndrome?
Well, it'd be more accurate to say that it was the syndrome that caused such terrible delusions to manifest. But in any case, the biggest problem is the patient eventually loses themselves to the fantasy world of their own creation.
My poor child can no longer differentiate between imagination and reality. He's begun to see himself as Thelxie.
Perhaps in his mind, the loneliness he felt became the same as that of a prince who lost everything he ever loved or stood for.
What? So that's what you meant by uncontrollable delusions. Then we have to help him snap out of it.
Alas, most of the time he acts as if he can no longer sense or interact with the real world at all. I've had several discussions with the doctor, and we think it is best to try to guide his fantasy. He once wanted to make a picture book of his imaginary world, but since the disorder progressed too quickly, he never quite got past the first page of the book. If we could use this book as a breakthrough for his condition. Here, you can take a look.
Ah, so Zuria's son also saw Thelxie as a penguin. Oh, he looks so sad.
What we should do now is help him complete this picture book. However, we'll lead the story to a different ending. One where the water imprint is eventually able to restore his kingdom with the help of his friends. We'll need to chase away his loneliness and sorrow, and let him perceive a world full of hope again. That's what I mean by guiding his fantasy.
But if we just need to finish the picture book, why does Fremine need to make a Thelxie as well?
Because we need to treat the book's story seriously, as if it's a history of things that have really happened. We'll need to go on a journey like Thelxie and help him regain his crown and country. But my child can no longer go on a journey of his own. This is why I commissioned Fremine here to craft a Thelxie, and then I'll paint the journey with this Thelxie into the picture book.
Ah, like a stand-in for your son! Paimon's starting to get it now. Oh, you really put a lot of thought into this, Zuria. Paimon still has one question, though. Where will we be able to find a Water Imp Kingdom?
There are some ruins on the seabed of the Salacia Plains. I've already asked Fremine to research them for me. We'll be able to use one of the ruins as the kingdom.
Oh, so we'll just need to act out a performance of, a brave journey through the Kingdom of Water Imps. As long as we chase away the monsters in the ruins, it'll count as chasing away the monsters in the Water Imp Kingdom, right?
Sadly, no. We won't just be putting on a performance. It's just as Zuria said. We need to take this seriously, and the only way we can take this seriously is if we choose to believe everything that's happening is real.
So we'll be playing it straight, or, making it a fully immersive experience? Oh, neither of those really sound right. Well, either way, we'll still be able to help, right?
It's all right. There's no need to get that serious. It's not a big deal. I believe in my son. We can just see this as him wanting to stay asleep for a bit longer, because he's so enamored with his dream.
Zuria.
Keep your spirits up, everyone. If we were to look troubled, my son is sure to become anxious as well. I should be heading back right about now to check on my son. We temporarily moved to a place on the hill over there, so my son will have a better spot to convalesce. It's not far from the water, and there's also a great view. Feel free to come find me if anything urgent comes up.
Understood. There's also one last thing. Since these two friends were able to help me out, I've made some more progress on Thelxie. I estimate that he should be ready sometime tomorrow.
That's great news. I must thank you all. With that in mind, how about we meet here in 2 days' time to head to the Kingdom of Water Imps? All right, everyone. Let's meet again in another 2 days.
Zeria sure is a brave and optimistic lady. Fremine, do you think her plan will work out?
Let's discuss that over by the tent. There were a few things that I didn't bring up because the Madame was here.
What is it, Fremine? What did you want to say?
If you don't mind me asking, I would like the two of you to mentally prepare yourselves. This is the first time that you've met anyone with the syndrome, right? I know you two are both really strong and will do everything you can to help the child. But with the syndrome being the way it is, if things don't quite turn out as we wish, I hope you'll be able to accept the outcome and not put too much blame on yourselves.
Fremine, why do you bring this up all of a sudden? Didn't we just promise Zeria that we'll be optimistic about everything working out?
It's not that I'm not optimistic. It's just...
So that's why you looked like you knew exactly what she was talking about. Wait, Fremine, don't tell Paimon that you also...
No. Please don't misunderstand. I've never had it. I've just seen many cases of it at the House of the Hearth, back when we lived under the previous director. They say there are many factors surrounding the development of this illness. I've heard everything from hereditary factors and one's state of mind, to environmental factors and even ley line disorder effects. Some even say it could be caused by contamination from god remains. And from the cases I've seen, there weren't many positive outcomes. In the worst cases, the patient could even pass away.
What? It could get that serious? And here Paimon thought they'd just stop talking as much.
Yeah, that's just the nature of it. So if you'll find it difficult to...
Yeah, that's right. Paimon's seen all of those things too. No matter how hard it might get, we won't be scared.
Really? Then in that case, let's see this real-life fantasy adventure together to the end.
Yeah! But Paimon has a question. If this illness can really be as bad as you've described, then do you really think Zuria's method will be able to help? After all, we'll just be using a toy as Thelxie and some ruins as the Kingdom of Water Imps. The whole adventure will only be turned into a picture book for her son to read.
Well, I think it should be able to do something. To harbor a fantasy means that the child wants to save himself somehow. The only reason he's allowed his dream kingdom to fall is because he's lost control of his heart. But if we can help him regain control and escape from the darkness, we'll be able to change his world. Like helping someone who's lost their voice be able to speak again.
Oh, Paimon sees what you're saying now. Huh. How do you understand all of this so well, Fremine?
Well, maybe because I've also had many of my own dreams in the past. I even had my own fairy tale world, much like that boy's. I was able to draw a lot of support from it, so I believe in the power of fantasy worlds. Ah, so you remembered.
What Penguin Town? Why doesn't Paimon remember? Is that also a fairy tale world? Don't leave Paimon in the dark! Hey, why did you put that on?
It's just one of my personal quirks. Please pay it no mind. Anyway, Penguin Town is a peaceful place with lots of penguin residents. They're all really good at making clockwork toys. And Pear is the town's triumphant hero, as well as the one who quietly protects the whole place.
Pear? But didn't you make Pear yourself?
Well, I often think that Pear only came to me because he realized how much I needed him. So it's not so much that I made Pear, as Pear chose me as his friend.
Fremine, are you sure you're not losing control of your fantasies as well?
No, I don't think so. I can still differentiate between fantasy and reality. I just believe that the fairy tale world of my dreams must also exist somewhere. It might just be hidden, which is why it's difficult to see. Or it will only reveal itself at very specific times.
Specific times? Like when you put on your diving helmet?
Yeah, that's the general idea of it.
Really? Paimon just said that because you put on your helmet.
Have you ever observed the surface world from underwater? It's as if you're viewing a whole different world from the outside. It's a very surreal feeling. Both alienating, but also as if you're being protected by something. I have a similar feeling when I put on my diving helmet. In those moments, it's possible to see some truly wondrous things, as if a fairy tale has become reality. It's almost like a sort of miracle.
Really? Like a miracle?
Well, if that's in order.
Hey, now's not the time! Fremine still has Thelxie's weapon to make. We don't want to bother him now.
Right. I still have to collect some tools I'll need to craft the weapon. I've got to finish everything before tomorrow. Thank you for reminding me, Paimon. I'm sure there'll be other opportunities for you to try my helmet. Thanks for all of your help. I'll be off for now. Let's meet up here again in 2 days.
Snappity snap, printy printy printy, stackity stack stack stack. Whoa, those two are kind of big deals. Hey, you two! Can I take your picture?
Huh? Does she mean us? Why does she want our picture? Guess we better get used to the celebrity treatment, huh? Can't blame the fans for wanting a photo of their heroes. But if this is for anything besides your own personal use, then we're legally allowed to charge you. Wait, what would they call it here? An appearance fee? Photo shoot fee?
Absolutely! It's just an honor to be able to photograph the Ace Adventurer duo. How does 1.5 million Mora sound?
Sure, that sounds fine! Hold up, how much did you say again? 1.5 million? Did Paimon hear that right? That's a lot of Mora for just one photograph. Maybe a little too much. Are we really worth all that?
You guys are overreacting! This measly 1.5 mil is just the start. If you're interested in working with me as a photographer, you could potentially be taking home anywhere up to 9 figures. Snap some snaps and stack those stacks.
9 figures? That's... wait. Every 1,000 is 3 figures, plus 1 for the 1, so 1 million, that's 7, plus 2 is 10 million, 100 million. 100 million? Yeah, this all sounds too crazy even for Paimon to fall for it. What kind of racket are you running here? You planning on flashing a couple of famous faces to con innocent people?
Con innocent people? You took the words right out of my mouth. But you got it back to front. My goal here is to rid Teyvat of everyone out there who's trying to con innocent people. Help me out, and there'll be a big bonus in it for you.
Whoa, back up a little. Seems you skipped a couple of steps. How did you get from photography to crime fighting?
Well, it all has to do with an important problem in law enforcement that often gets overlooked. Target recognition. Common sense says that if Gardamex want to fight crime, the first thing they need to do is identify who's a criminal and who isn't, right? But what happens when a Gardamex mistakes an honest citizen for a criminal, or sees someone brandishing a weapon in public but fails to flag them as a potential threat? Then you've got a huge problem. Think of the poor fisherman whose fishing rod gets mistaken for a spear, or the crafty crook who carries around a metal pipe to club his victims with, but dismissed as a regular plumber.
Okay, fair enough. You're kind of making sense now.
Great. Okay, so let's say I disguise myself as a cat, or a dog, or a finch, or a pigeon, or maybe even a blubber beast, because why the heck not? So I'm walking around the city streets like an escaped amusement park employee, and a Gardamex sees me. How do you think it would respond?
That's cheating! A Gardamex not gonna do anything to some cute little critter. Also, what kind of blubber beast would even want to come to the city anyway?
Bingo! Right answer. Gardamex are incapable of registering cats, dogs, finches, pigeons, and, of course, blubber beasts as potential targets. Their image recognition system actually ignores them completely. It is actually fairly logical if you think about it. Removing all the near-zero risk entities from the target database boosts performance in most situations. But here's a quote from a recent report in the Steambird. Several keen-eyed thieves who noticed a flaw in the Gardamex detection systems disguised themselves as blubber beasts during the commission of their crimes. Completely blind to the would-be blubber beasts, the Gardamex made no attempt to intervene in the thefts committed by the gang.
Wait, so this actually happened? And the Gardamex really didn't catch them? Okay, that's pretty gutsy, but also kinda horrifying. What if they get bored of petty theft and move on to something even worse? They could get away with anything.
Exactly! And that's why we have to fight these criminals in the domain of technology. It's turned into an ongoing tug of war between their disguises and our image recognition capabilities. And I, Lapine Pauline, specialist in graph adversarial technology, am determined to do my part towards a crime-free future for Fontaine. Currently, I'm in the process of collecting sample images. Once I have a large enough pool, I'll use that to develop a simple but powerful and highly accurate image recognition algorithm that runs on a small graphical processing module. Any clockwork mecha installed with this module will instantly be able to recognize people wearing disguises and accurately assess the criminal threat they pose. And, if all goes to plan, the Palais Mermonia will jump at the chance to have these installed on every Gardamek in the city. It's the business opportunity of a lifetime.
Paimon's getting deja vu. Let me guess, you're a homebody researcher who prefers to stick to the city, limiting your potential sample size. And the reason you want to work with us is because we can go out into the wild and help you get all the other photos you need, right?
Wow! Right again! Down to the last detail. It sounds like the Ace Adventurer duo has seen it all before. What do you say? Join my project, become a graph adversarial technology specialist, and together we can expose every costume defender in Fontaine. Crucially, with your help, we can build a solid graph adversarial tech pipeline and take Fontaine's technology and law enforcement capabilities to the next level. Everybody wins!
This does sound like it's for a good cause. Forget tomorrow. We can't stand by and do nothing. There are criminals out there giving Blubber Beast a bad name, and that's something Paimon won't stand for!
Great! And just like that, welcome to the team. Okay, take this. It's an image recognition sample collector. It contains recording and analysis equipment that I designed myself and comes complete with a user guide. I've already looked through lots of images from all over to determine the key features of the samples I'd like to collect. All you need to do is work your way through the guide, get the pictures, and bring them back to me. Simple. Let's get this show on the road, everyone. We must win the tug of war against evildoers and score some big-ticket orders from the Palais Mermonia.